Hey, what's happening, gamers? It's K-Wing here. Welcome back to another Playback Thursdays. Since I'm a YouTube partner, my older reviews that were over 10 minutes long can now be seen in their full, unedited glory for you, the fans. Not thrilled with Angry Video Game Nerds or James Rolfe's video about Simon's Quest, and having a very different opinion over this game when I was a child, I did this review in the similar fashion and with an open mind the way I did my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles review for the NES. At the time, this was the only positive review of Simon's Quest on the internet. Enjoy the review and have a great day. Hey gamers, it's K-Wing here. I know it's been a year since my last CastleVania review, and October is the perfect time for another one. Simon's Quest came out on the Wii Virtual Console last year, and I decided not to review it, and review CastleVania 3 instead. Hopefully this year, the Wii Virtual Console will get CastleVania 3. Hear me, Konami? Nonetheless, Simon's Quest is a big departure from the regular Castlevania series. That's not a bad thing either. If anything, Simon's Quest is a very overlooked and highly criticized game. While it may not be the best in the series, it certainly isn't as bad as the PS2 or Xbox Castlevania games. Don't worry, I'll review them someday too, because I have a lot to say. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself once again. This is Simon's Quest for the Nintendo Entertainment System and Wii Virtual Console, and this is review number 83. Story for this game. No, you guys aren't seeing things. These are clips of Castlevania from my review from last year. I decided to recycle them instead of playing Castlevania all over again because, let's face it, that's too much work for me. Anyway, as most of you know, this is not the first time that Simon Belmont has fought the Count. 1691 was the first time Simon fought to save the world, but what Simon didn't know is his grand adventure was but a trap set by Dracula to end the Belmont lineage. After Simon defeated Old Pointy Ears, he rested easy in a job well done, and didn't realize what the Count had done to him until 7 long years had passed. Grandfather, I so enjoyed your many stories of our ancestors. I remember the stories of powerful Trevor and your own struggle to reclaim my father from Dracula's capital. But alas, I feel as though God himself has abandoned me, and a great evil is preventing me from having an heir, and I feel so tired of my wounds.
A curse has been placed
Show
on
yourself,
your head,
witch.
and you will soon die.
What madness is this in what you
Your
say?
only hope of destroying the curse and healing your scars is to find the 5 body parts of Count
Wait!
Dracula.
I do not understand these riddles in which you
Fear not,
speak!
brave Simon, for if you have the courage to risk your life, you will find the strength to win again.
One of the things that makes Simon's Quest stick out so much compared to the other series is that Simon actually has to visit different towns and find clues about Dracula's missing body parts by talking to the different townspeople. So very similar to what Nintendo did with Zelda 2 and having Link go to different villages and stuff. Then, like every other Castlevania game, Simon has to fight numerous monsters, but what's really interesting about Simon's Quest is the transition from day to night. Now what's cool about this is not only is there like this clock where the time is very important, but the enemies get much stronger at night too. Another thing that's interesting about this game is the player will have to buy and find many items in this game to increase your chances for victory. And you'll actually use the hearts in this game as your currency, which is a huge difference compared to the last Castlevania game. Then the players will bring Simon to the 5 different mansions of evil and obtain Dracula's body parts hidden by his creatures. After getting all of Dracula's parts, you bring them back to Castlevania and awaken the Count, kill him, and hopefully the curse placed upon your head will end, and the Belmonts will not end with Simon. Otherwise, well, nice knowing you, Belmont. Oh, that can't be right. Moving on to the controls for this game. Just so everybody knows, this is the Wiimote controls held NES style. Now you control Simon Belmont with the command cross or the gamepad and move him in the direction you wish him to go. As with most Castlevania games, you can whip, walk, and jump, which is part of the charm of these older games where the player only has to worry about 2 buttons. The 2 button will make you jump, and the 1 button will attack. For the most part, the gameplay of Castlevania is still intact, but that's where all similarities will vanish. Wow, this really reminds me of what Nintendo did with Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Alright, design for this game. Simon's Quest doesn't really have anything that screams, "Look at me!" Actually, now that I think about it, it's more like the same background, but during the day, the trees, water, and rocks look normal, and at night they turn all evil-like. The main colors at night seem to be black, purple, light and dark greens, and different tints of blue. This does definitely give off the vibe of the night is not a good time to be out and about. Now, the caves always look the same during the day or at night. They always seem to have blood dripping down off them and nasty acid pits that you don't want to swim in either. You guys can see what I mean about the lack of design in this game. Look at the graveyard. It looks evil and stuff at night, but during the day, it's not much to look at. Konami has banked more stuff into the night element than anything else. As for the mansions, they aren't that impressive either. Each mansion appears to be the same and they just swap different color palettes. Although the mansions themselves are not the same, only in appearance, the layout for the most part is always different, and that's a good thing, trust me. I like the spear pits, but nothing really sticks out to me. Ha! Grim Reaper looked really cool, but this game only has 3 bosses. At least they look well designed. Time for the music and sound for this game. As far as music goes, this game rocks. The theme that is still used in most CastleVania games today is none other than Bloody Tears. You can't make a CastleVania game without some version of this song. I did like the game's music a lot, and the sound effects were good too. Throughout most of this review, you will hear different arrangements of Bloody Tears, because I like it that much. The only really sad thing about the music is lack of how long the music actually lasts. It repeats a lot, and the whole soundtrack for this game is no longer than 9 minutes, which is a real shame. But it's a good thing that most of the songs are great and really add to the gaming experience. Bloody Tears is such an awesome song. Alright, memories for this game. First off, this game gives the player a choice to go left or right at the beginning. When I first played this game, I decided to go left, a move that would later haunt me. Now keep in mind, when this game came out and the age I was when I played it, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I'm recreating the scene for everybody. Basically what happened is, well, these big monsters came out of nowhere, and my whip took me forever to kill them, and just when I thought I couldn't get in any more trouble, I end up getting killed by these things. So to see if it was a fluke, I tried again, and I ended up fighting the monsters, and I was surrounded, and I failed. Then I followed with a huge tantrum, and giving my controller air lessons and slamming stuff up against the wall, and after calming down, I finally decided to go right, and lo and behold, I realized the errors of my ways. But being the proud little kid I was, I never admitted it was wrong for me to go left instead of right. I love the history segments, don't you? CastleVania was such a huge hit on the Nintendo Entertainment System that it spawned a sequel. However, this game was not what the fans wanted at all. CastleVania 2 had Simon going through towns like Zelda 2 and collecting, buying items, and exploring a really big world. It also had the day to night feature, which annoyed many gamers to death. At night, the enemies were tougher and stronger too. Simon's Quest also had warning for gamers on the back of the box that read, "Castlevania was a cakewalk compared to this curse." Still, Nintendo Power got a lot of parents angry with this cover, and parents from all over the country called in to complain about Drax's severed head. My parents didn't call, but then again I didn't have a subscription yet. Simon's Quest has been on the Wii Virtual Console for gamers of all ages to enjoy. But be warned, this game is one of the hardest Castlevania games ever made. Still, it's only 500 Wii points, but be prepared to get spanked a lot. Tips and strategies for this game. The very first thing you have to do is buy the white crystal, because without that crystal, you can't get into the first mansion. Probably the most important thing to do in this game is get 200 hearts before entering the first dungeon. Why do this, you ask? Because you can get more powerful whip upgrades, that's why. Just about all the whip upgrades are found in towns, and they are only 200 hearts. So before entering a town, make sure you always have 200 hearts on hand. Using garlic in the second cemetery will get you the silk bag. Think of it like Link's super armor. Yeah, half damage. To get to the hidden mansion, you first have to kneel and equip the red crystal, then wait 10 seconds or so, and the magic wind brings you to your next dungeon. To find Dracula's castle, exit the last dungeon and go right. Do not go left. Make your way to this point here, and instead of heading back to the first town, take the stairs downward. And that does it. Bad aspect. Well, aside from not knowing you needed a strategy guide to beat this game, the Medusa heads have been replaced for hatred-wise. I hate those slime things now. Simon Belmont's greatest weakness is not monsters. No, it's water. It's funny how powerful this family is, yet none of them know how to swim. I also hated these rock thingies. Yes, I know the trick. It still doesn't mean I don't mess up once in a while. Strangest thing that's ever happened to me in Simon's Quest happened right there. What is the point of this village with all the eager ladies? I don't see a point, unless it's Japanese fan service or maybe poor translation. Only Konami goes, and Drax Rib doesn't always defend against everything. Okay, time for the good aspect. Okay, so Simon's Quest is different than the last Castlevania game. That's not necessarily a bad thing either, because Simon's Quest offers a lot of really cool things. One such thing is all the different hidden secrets, items, and weapons that are found in this game. Probably the coolest whip upgrade in any Castlevania game that I can think of is the Flame Whip that you get in Simon's Quest, because it's your Morning Star, plus it's on fire. Another really cool element to the Simon Quest series is the ability to level up your character, much like an RPG. You do this by collecting hearts, so the more hearts you collect, the more levels you can get. I think 6 is the highest. There's also 3 different endings in this game, and that's pretty cool. Alright, time for the conclusion for this game. Let's wrap it up. Simon's Quest is the game for the hardcore gamers like me. This is best left to the retro boys and girls of old. You new gamers will get angry and find way too many faults in this game when this game was meant to be different and make people think outside the box and explore. Plus the time limit and 3 different endings sports a lot of challenge and replay value for us older gamers. Still, this game is short and can be beat in under 40 minutes. That being said, and some of the things I mentioned, this game has to get a lower score. Now, it's not the worst Castlevania game out there, but it's not the brightest of the retro Belmont games either. Still, it's probably not as bad as some of those later 3D Castlevania games. But anyway, that being said, Simon's Quest has to get a 6 out of 10. It's only 500 Wii points, pick it up. And yes, I will be finally doing the 3D Castlevania game that many consider the best in the series, Legacy of Darkness. So you guys can look forward to that later this month, actually Halloween. And my next review will actually be Splatterhouse 2, which was pretty controversial in its day, and I'm going to disclose more about that later. So stay glued to Got Game for brand new exclusive reviews, and head on over to Game Trailers for all the Wii Virtual Console reviews that I'm going to do. And there's a lot. Well, that does it for me, guys. God bless and happy gaming. Thank you so much for watching this review, and be seeing ya.